King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Ice, Death, Lungs, Planets, Mushrooms, and Lava, album review, let's chat about it. Yes, that took me many times to get that album name out there. Anyways, hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Australian psychedelic rock titans. They've been busy boys over the last few years, and they are about to be a lot busier. My goodness. I mean, I've already made my thoughts pretty well known on a lot of their early work, like 12 Bar Brews, Float Along for Your Lungs, even Quarters. At the time, I just kind of wrote it off as another, kind of average psychedelic rock band, and still, to this day, I'm not a big fan of what they were doing on those albums. However, I will say this, from the stretch of, I'm in Your Mind Fuzz to Polygon Dwanaland, outside of sketches of Brunswick East, they were pumping out some of the best psych rock out there. Sorry, not a big sketches guy. Psychedelic rock, psychedelic folk, heavy psych, experiments in microtonal tuning, jazz fusion. They were seemingly putting it out, it all, one step at a time, and most importantly, with each album, they were doing something different. I mean, did I mention they released 5 albums in 2017, and from 2014 to 2017, released 9 albums. It's ridiculous, and it's not like they've slowed down ever since. As a matter of fact, they just keep going. After that, they brought out the eco-friendly robo-funk of the incredibly underrated Fishing for Fishies. Also, they put out a freaking thrash metal album and Infest the Rat's Nest. They did some synthy stuff. They released a double album in KGLW. Oh, and by the way, they already released an album this year, an 80-minute album that, I'm gonna be blatantly honest with you all, I just didn't have the time to even chat about it, and it's pretty decent stuff, a lot of it. But I jokingly said to myself at the time, it's okay if I miss this. They'll probably put out another 2 albums this year. I should have kept my mouth shut, because they revealed about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, they're going to be releasing 3 new albums before the year's end. As a matter of fact, as this album is going live, they've already released another one. We're going to get through this together one way or another, but this new album caught me off guard because the singles leading up to it were very jazzy, very proggy at times. I thought they sounded pretty good. Let's chat about this thing. I mean, I'm going to be honest, when they actually focus, they can make this sound work really easily. Like, take for example Ice V, which was a lead single from this album. This is a great medium for the band. It's jazzy and fluid, but it's also free-spirited and really fun and, dare I say, funky at times. It has a ton of character as well. Here we see King Gizzard just really focusing in on a groove, getting in there and just, having some fun with it. We also get the absurd, over-the-top lyrics that you all know and love, as well as some pretty tasteful flutes as well. And you know what? Every solo here works pretty well to the band's advantage. Nothing comes off pretentious or overdone. For a jazzy, jammy tune with serious lasting power, get a load of this. Check this out. I don't even mind that it's 10 minutes long. Guess what? Every track on this album is very long. I love Magma as well. The bluesy approach to this track is really awesome, but it's also sort of bouncy and fun in its own way. It shows them really working a groove once again. And as things roll on, I am very happy to report just how batshit insane some of the song concepts and lyrics are. They are just as over the top as I could have ever hoped. But with all of this, the great solos, the solid songwriting, this once again breezes by even though it's a pretty long tune. And Iron Lung, I think it's the best track here. Just a really great single, even though once again we're talking 10 minutes of basically jazz rock and jazz fusion. And at its core, it may be the most old school at heart jazz tune here. And the soulful vocals all around, man, was that ever necessary. And it comes off great. I feel this in here, man. And the solos all around, maybe the best ones that we get here, from the super funky, scuzzed out guitar to the really fantastic and very classy woodwinds. It's not that hard. And once again, it's a long tune, but honestly, I think it warrants it. And the freak out that this track builds up to in the final 3 minutes, it's so worth it. And ironically, I love Gliese 710 for just about every other reason. On the contrary, compared to other tracks here, this is probably the most King Gizzard sounding. It's freakish, it's ghoulish, it's over the top, and dare I say, just plain weird. Even the pacing and the instrumental on this track have taken a sharp left turn and sound hellish and just sinister at times. And I'm going to get to my thoughts in a second, but spoiler alert, this album is extremely lopsided, but this track still does a pretty good job of, kind of tidying things up a little bit. My thoughts on this album so far have been pretty positive, but there is a cruel reality to face here. And, leading up to this album, I was seeing comparisons online to, King Gizzard goes King Crimson, which, on paper sounds incredible, but that is not what we get here. The thing is, with classic, albums from the likes of King Crimson, there will be these wild eclectic jams, but all going towards a single narrative at the end of the day, and the rest of the tracks on here stray far from that. Mycelium as a intro, phoned in. Jesus. Who needs competent songwriting instruction when you can just meander around for 8 minutes? This is everything that I felt kind of lukewarm about with Sketches of Brunswick East, rolled up into a nice ball and put into an 8-minute track. It's straight up goofy at times. It's way too light and fluffy. And it's, once again, a very long tune, and halfway through they just start rehashing, and I'm not for it. I think it's a terrible track. The thing is, they can pull off this sound, but it's also a very slippery slope. Lava isn't that much better. I mean, God, at this point, the last thing that I wanted to hear was King Gizzard just screwing around in the studio and not getting anywhere, and that's what we get here. I was feeling okay about this album for a while, but now I just have a headache, and I'm kind of upset. And to make matters even worse, when this track eventually does take form, it is the most plodding, boring, predictable track here. It is a 6-minute track with nothing to show for it. Like, there's a lot going on, but not really getting anywhere. And Hell's Itch, it's just very half-assed. Like, it starts off pretty okay. It comes off with that sort of neo-psych, psych-folk feel of papier-mâché Dream Balloon, which I loved. Let me tell you, it gets old really quickly, and then proceeds to roll on for 13 minutes. And it's not like anything actually interesting happens here either. Not even the bluesy guitars and the fluttering woodwinds can save this one. This album is insanely lopsided. I mean, you're putting out an hour-long jazz rock, jazz fusion album right now, which on paper sounds really interesting, and clearly they can do the sound justice from, the material that we get here that's good. The issue is it's an hour long, and almost a half hour of it is boring, predictable, and most importantly, skippable. And that's something that I haven't said about the Giz in quite some time. You may love this album, you may adore this album and the direction of it, but it's not for me. And guess what? They have a new album that came out literally today. Haven't listened to it yet, but I can assure you, I don't know my thoughts on it yet, but I can assure you it probably doesn't sound anything like this if we know King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. For now, this album's too lopsided for me. I'm feeling a light 6 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let us know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.